How are you guys?
Good. How are you, buddy?
Good. Feeling good. Yeah.
Good.
Ran 10K. Feeling a little sore. It's like catching up to me now.
Yeah.
Like right now.
Hitting a wall a little bit.
Yeah,
coming down.
Yeah.
Which I didn't feel bad. Have you guys tried ketone supplements before?
Never.
You haven't? I've been experimenting with ketone supplements the past two-ish months, and I like noticed a significant difference actually.
Like in your brain?
Brain and endurance. Like I just feel like I don't bonk as much, which also it's weird because I went to a naturopath and we did like a organic acids test.
Sure.
And so one of the things that the results from that was my body doesn't produce ketones
Really?
on its own. Yeah. I don't know if it has to do with like my uric acid cycle or something like that, but yeah, there was no ketones registered. And so like
Really?
she's like, no wonder you feel really good on ketones.
Yeah. No. So your brain, what does it run on?
I guess just
Just its own insulin?
Yeah.
Your brain's
just
insulin and
carbs.
stuff?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Did you change your diet at all taking the ketones?
No, I mean, I've been basically carnivore. Well, I've been doing meat and fruit,
okay.
honey, maple
Sure,
syrup.
sure,
Those are the only things for like, I think 4 weeks with no cheats.
Okay.
And that was, which is interesting too, because I'm pretty low carbohydrate.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that,
yeah.
You know, 250 grams ish a day,
Okay.
which is low for me.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
for an athlete, I'd say that's probably fairly low.
Yeah.
Especially endurance athlete, I'd say it's really
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
Did she like test your baseline insulin levels or anything like that?
No, I've had my like A1C, that type of thing, or no?
No, not A1C. You got like A1C, then you have your baseline insulin, which is somewhere like you want to be like 4 is really good.
Huh.
Like 4 or 5, that's really good. And then you have your fasted glucose, right?
Yeah.
And then basically it's just how insulin sensitive you are. So like let's say my baseline insulin's like 23. I'd be like, holy fuck, I'm gonna be a diabetic. Like, cut my feet off, and that would mean like instead of eating 200 carbs, I need like 1,000 carbs to get what I can get out of 200 carbs.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
that's what you gotta. I guess you really gotta ask for
Yeah.
that to be tested. But
Yeah, that's not common on a lot.
I didn't know if the naturopath kind of did that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think she does. I mean, she said something with my blood sugar that basically, like I have huge dips in blood sugar. So I need to make sure that I'm eating 5 meals a day to like stabilize.
Yep.
And that could like, I don't know, I guess explain a lot of stuff. I don't really know. Yeah, but it's something that I'm interested in.
Well, you probably just go hypo.
Yeah, well, that's something that she said is that like you probably like a lot of the things that you felt, you probably are going hypoglycemic.
Yep.
She's like, I don't see any signs of hyperglycemia, but hypo for sure. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That could be why like maybe at 2 p.m. I like used to get this weird hit of like I don't want to do anything. Yeah, you know.
Oh fuck
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
But ever since starting the ketones, I haven't had that, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But is it a drink? Is it a
Yeah.
Powder?
And it tastes like shit, dude. Have you?
I've only ever seen the gummies.
Yeah. It's
They
ketone
go.
IQ. You know the one that everybody.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
You guys, have you ever had Malort?
Yeah.
Alcohol.
The alcohol. It's a big,
The
like,
Chicago handshake.
thing.
Yeah.
Wait, what is it?
Malort.
Whoa,
It's
is that stuff that we saw in the bar, that poster?
Yes.
And you're like, oh, you ever see
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
You said
Yeah.
it tastes like
Oh,
shit?
yeah. It's like
It's so.
I don't.
bad.
I can't even describe it.
Yeah,
Just
that's
like
what the
ass.
ketone shot tastes like.
No way.
Yeah, so every morning
Is it a
at like
shot?
5:30 a.m. I put it down. Yeah, it's a shot.
Really?
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like if you go to a Chicago bar and you ask for a Chicago thing to mess with you, they give you Malort.
Yeah.
Ha!
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Yeah.
And everyone knows it's terrible. It's just kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
No, I never had it. How fast does it work after you take it, though?
I don't feel like a crazy like buzz or anything from it. You know what I mean? It says it's supposed to raise your ketone levels for 4 hours.
Yep. So you have to do it more than once.
Yeah, but I don't. I just, because normally what I do is I'll get up at like 5:30. I'll do some of my endurance shit at that point, like a long bike ride or like go out for a run type thing. And I don't bonk, like nothing happens. I feel really dialed in mentally. And then, yeah, I don't know. So I'm thinking about experimenting with twice a day, but they're so damn expensive, dude. So,
Oh, really?
It's like $114 a month for 24 ketone shots.
Yeah. And that's how. I mean,
We're in the wrong business.
right.
Whoa. You should just have a kratom shot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fucking thing.
I'm not a big fan of kratom.
You would take it and you'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking ready. I'm serious. You'd be like, I'm fucking ready. With some tenepatine, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're good till you're not. Then
Yeah. Then you're. Yeah.
Wait, what's tenepatine?
nootropic.
It's a nootropic.
right?
Yeah. But when you mix it with other things,
It
it makes everything. I would say it makes everything kick in harder.
Yeah.
Like if you take it with like C4, like a pre-workout.
Everything is
That's
Oh,
awesome.
is
what we used to
tenepatine
do.
like that Russian one? Like it used
Yes.
to- yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember John telling me about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? I've been really into. You guys know who Well, I mean, I think he's kind of a joke, but Gary Brecka.
Yeah.
You know that guy?
10x Health. He's like the one Dana White did that fast.
The
He does all
biohacker guy.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys think? I've been really into methylation and methylation support, all these just supplements basically, right? And for the everyday person, I personally think supplements are no longer supplemental. Like it's necessary to supplement if you want to live a good life.
Sure.
Do you think there are any bottleneck supplements that people should take?
I mean, well, just right off the top, the first thing that popped right in my mind was methylene blue, which we've been playing with.
Yeah. Do you like methylene blue?
Love
Yeah.
Methylene
Really?
Blue.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet.
That makes my brain so much better.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What is it supposed to do?
Different
So-
for everybody, I would
Yeah.
say. But
I believe it works very much on like the cellular level.
Yeah.
In the mitochondria. So one of the biggest things that help you increase the uptake of sun or red light.
Okay.
So it's supposed to help if you're outside, uptake that, or if you sit in front of like an actual red light, help intake that and help repair cells.
Okay.
And then in turn giving them energy because it impacts the mitochondria. It's like a very baseline
Okay.
of what it does.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it helps with ATP production or?
I kind of a little bit of everything, I
Yeah,
believe.
it's a little bit of everything, and then how basically your brain and neuropathy of the brain and all that kind of stuff work with. It's oxygenated something.
Yeah.
Huh.
We're still in the
It's very much like a learning phase.
It's a learning phase right now, and a lot of the you can't take an SSRI with it, right?
Yeah, because
Or
too much
anything.
serotonin.
Exactly.
Ah.
You get the serotonin.
It's sublingual too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just put it in water.
yeah. I mean, you can hold it under your tongue for a little bit, but it's going to turn everything blue.
I want
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in the hospital. I believe they IV it.
Yep.
They do it in the hospital?
Yep.
For what?
For like urology stuff. A lot of times it turns
Yep.
it'll turn your urine blue most of the time. I think they
Blue
use it to
and
track
green, yeah.
mainly.
Oh.
For stuff like if you have like a urinary thing that they have to see. So it is used in the hospitals.
Okay.
But then people started using it. I know it's super popular with the longevity kind of crowd of
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
We
With
also
kidnees
just
too, right?
Yeah,
The
I think
nephrons
so.
and the kidneys.
But like we listened to a guy talk about it for weight loss as well, which I'm still trying to figure out more about that. We're still like very much. Well, I don't
New
want
to
to
it.
like put it
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
I mean, for myself personally, the thing with the sun I found the most interesting. Not to be like super hippy dippy, but I do feel like the sun. Like I know people talk about it, but it's such a huge factor for people.
Yes.
and we see it with seasonal depression. I mean, it's all kicking up already. Now if the sun goes down by 4 o'clock, you know what I mean?
everybody's
But I do
sad.
think anything that help just like kind of 10x that increase of how much sun you're absorbing is just mentally, physically always going to be better. So if you can get a little bit more of that,
Yep.
not only from a recovery but just like a mental thing, I think that that alone is huge.
Yeah. Well, I've been,
Especially because most people never go outside.
hell yeah.
I think it's
no
like
one goes
most
out.
people spend
Yeah.
less than 10 minutes outside a day. So
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
I think they say the minimum you should get is 20, and I feel like that shouldn't be that difficult. But I know for probably 90% of people, that's like an impossible task, which
Yeah.
is hard to think about. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like it wasn't that long ago where everyone was outside a lot. You
Right.
know, like
Yeah.
even I remember just being a kid, right? Like everyone was outside doing shit. And
Right.
now literally no one's out. Everybody's
Right.
like, I don't have the time or whatever. You let
Growing
them,
up,
like,
we would go home from school and just go outside till we couldn't.
Yeah.
It's just all we did.
yeah.
Yeah.
But-
And even parents too. It
Right.
wasn't like they were working that long
Yeah.
or like not, well, they were, but they'd still make time to go outside and do shit or on the weekends or whatever. I've been saying for a while though, I feel like the rise of the hippie is happening right now. Like
Yeah.
all the hippie shit.
Forest bathers?
Huh?
Forest bathers.
Yeah. Well, dude, like all the shit that the hippies were saying for like the past 10, 15, 20 years is now like becoming popular.
yeah.
Like going out and sun gazing, putting your feet on the ground, stuff like that.
All that stuff, yeah.
And
like,
get rid of your sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you wear sunglasses?
Not
Never.
anymore.
I don't either.
I stopped wearing them a year ago.
Yeah.
Never.
I used to always have to. Even like sitting here with the light glare, I'd be like irritated.
Yeah.
And now I've really tried hard not to. I mean, I wear them all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And now I never wear them unless I'm like driving. It's like directly there. But I went from wearing them all the time to never anymore.
Yeah, I'll
Feels
wear them
way
like an
better.
extreme case
Yeah,
like that too.
yeah.
Like if I'm
Driving,
driving,
it's
can't
like
see
the only
shit.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I gotta put them on. But I think it's really important too. It's like a really underrated life hack that a lot of people aren't doing.
Yeah. I mean, every time I hear someone say that they're just like kind of in a bad mood or having a bad day or kind of like depressed, or I mean, whatever, if it's actually a thing, but
Right.
like just go outside and take a walk. Even just 10 minutes, like put your phone down, like just go for a walk. Like, I don't know. I find it very therapeutic. I think a lot of people would just be able to solve a lot of their issues. I mean, it's not going to solve everything, but just go outside and get some sunlight. I think it'll really change your mood, even just a little bit.
And you can get some activity in with it
Right.
too. Walking.
It's truly the easiest thing. Go for a 10-minute walk.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, throw it in after you eat too. You're just, I mean, you're checking boxes right there for
Yeah.
something that's free and easy. And I mean, yeah, in the winter it sucks, but like, I mean, it's going to be like 80 degrees again this week, and it's going to be November. So it's like there's really
And
no
we're in
excuse to
Wisconsin.
not
Yeah.
go outside
Yeah.
for 10 minutes.
You should be trying to soak
Right.
it in.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I mean, I like going outside and walking, getting the sun, but I mean, as soon as it's nice out, like I'm out there, I'll take my shirt off. I don't care.
Yeah.
All that sun.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
such a big thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So easy too.
That's so easy.
Yeah, I had my shirt off running today, that 10K, and I got crazy looks. I'm like, I want the vitamin D. dude.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's crazy. It was a great
Yeah.
day. It was a great day for it.
But I think
Yeah.
you're right. It is becoming super kind of mainstream, the hippie stuff. Like, I mean, not to get political, but it's even coming to the forefront in politics. Like,
Yeah.
it's been mentioned now with like election stuff that some of these people want to eliminate seed oils and all that stuff. And it's like, I mean, I think everyone has their thoughts on that kind of thing, but at the same time, it's at least it's for someone who is interested in all that and kind of care about health and all that. I think it's a step in the right direction. At least see it being brought to the forefront.
Yeah.
Regardless of, I think it should be nonpartisan, but regardless, I think just hearing that it's at least making its way towards being in front of the Senate and stuff. I know there's some big Senate hearings with people with like the food industry and all that recently, trying to get some of our food cleaned up and healthier for all of us. I think it's encouraging. It's exciting.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Because I mean, I think a lot of the issues that we have are because we don't go outside and get in the sun, and because the food we eat, even healthy food, I mean, it's not healthy. Like,
Yeah,
it's terrible.
well, that's the whole like premise. I think that supplements are no longer supplemental, is because
Right.
like our soil is all messed up. People don't go outside. The water has fluoride in it
Right.
and all these crazy things. So I think that a lot more people. You guys tell me your take on this. I think there's like the baseline of living, right? And like some people are like, I feel good, but I still think that feel good is actually shit.
Right. Oh yeah.
And if people would just supplement with the right things, like get
Right.
checked for micronutrient status, or even I don't know, like liver status, and see
Sure.
if they're actually filtering stuff out, like if it's working properly, like people could be living way better lives, thriving by taking certain nutrients.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree. It's easy to get carried away with.
Yeah.
For sure. Like I've driven myself crazy trying to be so perfect.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of small, simple things that people could be doing every day just to like counteract some of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're kind of in a spot where it's like impossible to avoid. I think everything is just so contaminated or disrupted, or like without really seeking out certain things, it's super tough for, I would say, majority of people. But I think that there's a lot of little things, like you said, supplementation, stuff like that. Just making a little bit of effort, I think, can go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really actionable shit. I'm actually recording a video right now for another channel about like 5 life hacks that are super actionable, because we hear all these like the Gary Breckas and all these like crazy biohackers. What's that dude that's trying to live to like 150?
Oh, Brian Johnson.
Yeah,
he's
that
like
guy.
stealing his son's blood, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that?
Yeah, he's trying to live forever. He
He was the
Why?
owner
created
of
this
PayPal.
like AI.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
He's like a
Yeah.
billionaire.
Yeah.
He's trying to live forever. He created some like AI system to help
Why
calculate
the
his
fuck
life.
would
It's
you
crazy.
want to live forever?
He pays $2 million a year to do like this whole.
Does it look
regimen.
good?
Looks weird.
He looks like an alien.
A vampire.
Is he
right?
Asian?
Yeah. No, he looks like Elon Musk kind of.
Yeah.
Oh,
they
yeah.
could be brothers. They
Yeah.
have a similar
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
to him. I
He
don't
got
know.
a weird look.
Supposedly he reversed his biological age by like 40 years.
Yeah, so he's ran all these crazy tests. I
Yeah.
mean, whether it's right, wrong, or
Why'd
indication
you
of
get
anything.
hit by a fucking car?
Well, that's, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's,
yeah,
well, that's
yeah.
a lot of
Fucking
people's
block
thing.
that.
Is like you can't,
Yeah.
you truly can't live for like.
yeah,
because
why
some
would
things
you
you
want
can't
to?
predict.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of his stuff is interesting. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah.
But it's It's out there.
Don't you want to see what's on the other side after a while?
He runs like blood transfusions. So he takes his son who's like 21. He takes his blood, and then he takes his own blood and gives it to like his dad.
There's no way I'd want a
like,
21-year-old's blood.
Well, he's supposed to be healthier than you. So
yeah,
I don't think they're doing that. I think that's the point.
Put it through like a
Fucking
centrifuge.
I mean, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. I mean, okay, so let's say this. Let's say you feel really, really good. Like, let's say you're CrossFitting, your joints feel good, you feel fucking amazing,
Never
right?
feel good doing it.
But okay, let's say you're powerlifting or doing something, right? And then you never feel good doing that. Anyways, let's say you feel good, and you go get your blood work done, and the doctor's like, "Wow, you're out of range, and you need to get this." But you're like, "But I feel fucking amazing."
Yeah.
Would that worry you, or would you be like, I would just be like, well, fuck it. This is how I run. I run amazing on this, and this is how I feel good.
Right.
So go fuck yourself. You know?
Pretty much.
Or would you be like, oh man, my creatine's 2.4, my total cholesterol is 314. I'm like, I need to do this, and the doctor's like, you need to be on Lipitor, your blood pressure's high, but you don't get blood pressure headaches. You're not red, all that. Like your testosterone is 2,000 nanograms per deciliter, like all this stuff. And you're like, but I feel good.
No, I don't even trust normal doctors with that type of shit.
I was going to say, I think it comes down to who you have interpreting your blood.
Like my creatinine's always like super high.
Yeah, but
like,
you're an athlete.
You're an athlete.
So it's
exactly.
Regardless.
And that's what I like tried to explain to my doctor before. And he's like, yeah, well, maybe you should take a break. I'm like, dude, no, I'm not taking a break from training just for this one thing. You know, it's so stupid.
Take a break.
No, I don't. Me personally, I'm like super tired of the traditional medical system. I don't trust anything they say because I just feel like they don't have to be well read anymore. Like they're taught this system and they believe that they're God because they learn this, they learn their methods for 8 years
they
and
did
now
the
they're
time,
bought
they spent
into
the money
this thing.
and
And so like you can't even like change their mind because of how much time and money they put into it. Some of them you can, so I'm not going to generalize completely. Some of them you can, but for the most part, they're not willing to change their mind. They're not willing to look into anything else. But then when you look at the medical system and even the school system and how it was all like lined up, so like the Rockefellers like designed the school system to be a certain way to produce more people that would work on the line and stuff. And then the dude who did the medical school, what is it called after their
like the residency?
The residency. The dude who did that, he was on freaking meth the entire time. That's why the requirements for hours are the way they are, because the dude who designed it was on meth the entire time. So it's
name one medical student that we've heard over that's not on Adderall, which is methylphenidate.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is meth, basically.
Yeah, and then when you look at a lot of them too, it's like, I don't want what you got, because they're smoking or they're like,
they're gross. Like, they're not healthy.
They're fucking stressed out.
Yeah, exactly. You have no fitness in you whatsoever. So I don't know. For the most part, what I do is I go outside of the traditional system and look for advice there. And sometimes they say things too where I'm just like, I don't know, man.
Right.
But
I like going off of just how I feel. Right.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm not going to live forever.
Yeah.
Nor would I want to. But I want to do things that make me the best that I can be, but also like I have a little bit of a problem being present because like in my head, I'm just like, there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
Like we're like, oh, look how pretty that is. And I'm like chasing a squirrel, It's like, but so I miss being present. So I know I take whatever I can take to be present.
Sure.
But what that may cut down on my life, but I'm present during that time to enjoy it with the people
it's given
I want to be, right?
Yeah.
So if I have to take, if I do make it to, I'm 44 now, if I make it to 54 and I'm super happy and I do a job that I fucking love and I'm super happy at, and I'm taking a bunch of drugs that make me feel awesome.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with that?
I don't think that.
And being present and happy and, if I'm happy, the people around me are going to be happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of being a crab ass, like,
right.
I'm sure her parents were, or, you know, like it's just like one of those things. Not your parents. I'm just saying. Or your parents. I'm just saying, like, like how unhappy have you seen people be? Right.
What do you think about like the rise of drug culture in fitness? I think that like there's
amazing.
You like it?
Fucking love it.
I like it too. I don't like it for kids.
It's like too accessible.
Yeah, for kids, I think it's like too like you know, we have teenagers that are here, but like the one thing that I don't like is when they look at people online and they're like, well, the Trend twins are doing a bunch of
yeah.
So like I think Trend would be fine because I heard one kid was like, yeah, I'm doing a cycle of Trend or whatever. Do you remember like 10 years ago, Trend was like the one drug that everyone told you not to touch. Mm-hmm. Like they would be like, you get the Trend cough, you get Trend dick.
I mean, it was definitely a lot more like.
It was taboo.
There's more taboo, more caution around it, and now it's like you go on Instagram and every other thing is like
everyone's on Trend.
Blah blah blah. Yeah. And also to like the counterpoint now too, anyone who's strong, it's like, well, there you do. Like,
yeah,
I give it. I don't know. I
didn't know what Trend was 10 years ago. I don't think.
Well, so maybe even there's another point too.
Yeah.
Like
but then when I found out about it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try that.
yeah.
But that's the way my brain works.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna try that.
But even so like as an adult, you're like, I don't even really know what this is. Now there's 15-year-old kids who are like, you could go back 10 years ago and go to GNC and get a lot of things that are now banned or maybe arguably could be worse for you.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little too like. I think it's good that certain people are out there talking about it from a safety standpoint and being more honest and open about it. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of weird sub 20-year-old culture that are really into it that maybe it's like,
Yeah, because I can't even imagine being a kid now. Because like when I was 15, 16, didn't have the internet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, so I didn't know anything about anything. I honestly thought cell tech was how they got big.
Yeah, I did too.
I honestly did. Like, I'm like, fuck, Mom, I gotta get some stuff. You know,
it was like $70, $80.
Yeah,
every time I made a bodybuilding.com order, I'm like, this is gonna be I'm
gonna get some veins. So you guys don't remember this, but there used to be a drink called Ultimate Orange, and it was made by Dan Duchesne, who's the creator of basically all designer steroids ever.
Nice.
And anyway, he's dead now, but they took it off the market because it had it was caffeine, ephedrine, DMAA.
Wow.
And that's awesome.
It was the ultimate orange. It was the first pre-workout I've ever heard of.
Wow.
And you could get it at GNC.
Yeah.
And it was like meth. And it was amazing. And I was 13 years old. And I was like, this stuff is amazing. I love it. But I can't imagine what it's like to be a kid and like with my brain. I would be the kid that would be like, all right, how do I get this stuff?
On all the shit.
Yeah, because especially if I was the same me, like a 15-year-old kid, like I wanted to be better at being better.
Yeah.
I just want to be better at. I'm not tall. I'm not super good looking. A little good looking, but you know, it's like I'd be like, Trend, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think with like all the bad, there's definitely the good too.
Sure,
right.
Like, watching people actually finally talk about it now and not being like fake natties or whatever, because there was the rise of the fake natty call outs and stuff. I think that's super good because now there's not completely unrealistic expectations, and now when you see people that claim to be natural, you're kind of like,
sure,
you know, and like kids aren't like so, you know, like they're not buying cell tech anymore because they're not like cell tech's what's going to get me big.
You're right. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, I can't imagine.
No,
well, we talk like many conversations, like fucking. And, I mean, I remember when there was no internet. Dom's like, I grew up with the internet my whole life. Yeah. So did you, right?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. What that's like, what you find so early.
I feel like we were kind of lucky because we got to spend most of our I don't think like Instagram and stuff like even came out to like probably into high school. Like, I think I remember getting it like maybe my senior year of high school, freshman year of college. So like there was like a pretty big time where
did you have MySpace?
Yeah, I had MySpace like in middle school, but like
you couldn't do shit with it.
Right, it was totally different than what it is. Like it was not. There was not a lot going on.
Right. I remember like no one was on Facebook or you know,
so it was totally different. But
I'm gonna go see that.
All right, well, Justin, I had a question kind of similar to that though. So obviously, like myself and Kirk are more in the powerlifting world, and you're more in the CrossFit now, endurance and all that stuff. So like, sticking with like the drug stuff, like what is the viewpoint, thoughts, like is that stuff around in CrossFit? I mean, because now I only hear rumors, and so then you assume or like whatever you see on the internet, but not even being in that sphere, like is that pretty rampant, popular, a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I like to say this. I think that CrossFit is stuck in the Stone Ages right now.
Sure.
You know, you remember bodybuilding, and like there were stages to bodybuilding. Like people were on the bro diet, then they were counting macros, and everybody realized you could eat a cookie and still lose weight type thing.
Yep.
As long as you equated calories, and then like the steroid thing happened. But I like to say that CrossFit's still in the Stone Ages, where a bunch of people are totally like oblivious that all these athletes are running some type of gear,
right?
Because of drug testing, they pass their drug test and all this stuff, right? And what the lore of CrossFit is that there's a sacrificial lamb every year.
Sure. So someone gets popped.
Someone gets popped just to show that the sport is still
we're
clean.
drug testing.
Yeah, but what I think is hilarious, and I think it's because I spent so much time in powerlifting and bodybuilding, that I have a decent eye for steroid use.
Sure.
And so when you look at a lot of these guys, you see, okay, I'm not gonna like call out names because I know some of these guys, but like when you see some of these top tier athletes, like even 2 years ago, and you're like, dude, your traps tripled in size from what, rowing and heavier cleans, like, and your clean didn't even go up that much. You know, I'm like, okay, there's something really weird going on here. And then people are just like, they're the best of the best, they're the genetic elites. I'm like, this is
even
just,
so,
it's retarded. Like, there's no way that this dude is not running something. You know, they look like bodybuilders that could step on stage tomorrow and win a natural show. You know, so like, there's no way. And so like, even when I got into CrossFit, I feel like I had a pretty good base to start, but I was the average CrossFitter is about 205 pounds. Okay. And they're shredded. I was 173 pounds and shredded, but like nowhere. I was 30 pounds off from the average. You know what I mean?
205.
Yeah.
Big.
Are they like my height too?
I think that the average height was 6'1", actually.
Really?
Holy shit!
Yeah, I think
I would
that's
not
what
have
the
thought
statistics.
that with like the gymnastics and the Olympic lifting. I would have guessed probably like 5'10". You probably need like a little bit. But
I mean, there's a lot of guys that are like 5'7", 5'8". But I think that the average across like games athletes was about 6'1".
Wow.
And they were like 195 to 205, something like that. Those are big dudes.
Big.
That's big. And I think too, like people don't really have an understanding that like that's not your average.
That's not
Joe.
all.
That's
not
a
really,
big dude.
It's not attainable. For a majority of people.
For a majority of people, and like again, they're saying like that's the genetic elite. Okay, cool. But the genetic elite most times are on drugs too, because they realize their potential, so they hop on drugs. And so I think in CrossFit there's a lot of drug use, and people are just like so.
Okay, what do you consider a drug though?
I mean,
any performance enhancement. So like that.
So okay, can I?
The WADA list is what I would say.
Is that what they drug test for? Is the WADA list? Is that
they drug test because they're like some peptides you can still like get away with.
Well, right, because there's tons of the umbrella of what is now a drug and all this is growing every day. I mean, there's so many new, even just endurance performance. I mean, the carnitines, all these things are everywhere that I'm sure, if they're rampant in bodybuilding and powerlifting, I'm sure they are in CrossFit, even more so the endurance one. So, like, I guess, like, that's where I'm curious. Like, so I guess if you go to a contest, are you drug tested?
Not me.
Okay. But once you get into those games levels, they are?
I don't think everyone is drug tested.
Okay.
Pulled out of a hat.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe at the games they drug test everybody, but even then, like you're going.
When it's coming, right?
Yeah, you just pull back.
And there's so many things now that probably don't show
They're
up.
They're starting to do randomized drug tests, supposedly. But I think something to keep in mind for a lot of people is CrossFit is. I don't even like to call it a sport because I genuinely don't think it's a sport, but CrossFit is the game of recovery and how much training volume you can accumulate to make an adaptation.
Right.
Because the games weekend is somewhere between like, I think 8 to 12 workouts, and you have anywhere between 2 and 3 workouts a day, maybe one on the first day, which is the first out of 4 or whatever. And to think that you can just recover naturally like that and to train day in, day out, 6 days a week and accumulate all this volume and nothing happens to you is pretty rudimentary and pretty wild.
Can you get an IV if you're in the games?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you know how it's like back in the day, like Lance Armstrong and those guys, like, so when
I take that back. Maybe you can if you have a medical emergency.
Oh, okay. So if you're getting some rhabdomyolysis, you're like,
I think that they'll be all right. Okay,
my pee's really yellow. I got
yeah.
But anyways, they like one of the small tricks that they used to do was the rules of getting tested was, so it's 7 days, right? And you got from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You're allowed to get drug tested, but you can't bother the athlete after that. So what they'd do is they'd ride all day.
Yeah.
And then they'd go drug test right after they got done, right? And then after that, they'd stick testosterone patches on them. So they would sleep all night and soak it in and recover.
Right.
Because they knew the patch wasn't going to be, it was more to recover from.
Yep.
Like you could recover faster.
Yeah.
But you were going to ride through and use all your androgens.
Yep.
So when you piss, you were fine. You know, it wasn't showing up like your epitestosterone went and testosterone wasn't, off of whack. But
well, the half-life is pretty short, right? Of testosterone?
If it's transdermal, it's gonna go in really fast. But if you're riding the way they ride, you're gonna just burn through it and be fine.
The creams and the topicals are pretty in and out.
Yeah, you're in and out. But I can't imagine the CrossFit, the same thing, right?
Right, yeah.
Like how do you, like you say, like how do you recover? Like
can't.
I mean,
well, that's like, something that like I had to come to a realization with, and like I even talked to my coaches. Even at my level, a lot of people are doing this full time. Like they have no job, they don't have kids, they don't have anything to worry about. They're doing it full time because they're trying to make it up the ranks to get to the pro level. And I was like, yeah, dude, like I just don't have it, and it's really just not that important to me. Like it's not that important to me to get to that level to give everything up.
Are they making a living at it?
No one makes a living.
Oh, I was gonna say like, oh fuck, that'd be awesome.
The upper echelon of athlete, like I would say maybe the top 10 in each category can make a living off of it, but it's still not significant when you take all things considered. So it's like I think that the majority of athletes probably like top 5 make good 6-figure incomes, like good like 200, 300 maybe. Right. Maybe. I could be off. The last 5 to 10 probably make anywhere between like 60 to 100. But you got to think, cuz I've been able to be blessed enough, or if you want to say that, to know what some of these people get paid from certain companies.
Sure.
It's not that much.
Right.
It's like a couple grand maybe from a company, and then like maybe 3 to 4 companies, sponsor you. $8,000 a month though is pretty easy to burn through when you have to have body work every single week, a couple times a week. You have to have a coach that programs for you. You have to have a second coach that does your endurance work. You have to have maybe a third coach that does like efficiency stuff, so like movement. And then you have a nutritionist, which some nutritionists do pay athletes to be an athlete for them. That type of thing. But there's so many different like things that these guys are paying for that maybe they're left with like a grand or two at the end of the month, because
that's
real life
crazy.
shit too,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your whole life, your bills, and everything after that.
Which I mean, I guess that's the same as powerlifting, right? I mean,
you're hoping powerlifting.
Like some meets will pay out, but a couple grand here, a couple grand there. But like I would say, most people who make it are at the top 1%, and they sell coaching. That's really the only way that these guys make money.
It's the selling
of coaching, or they own a gym, which then gets big because they have their name brings in people. But these are the top 1%.
Yeah,
and then the rest are just people like trying. I mean, I'm sure in CrossFit, just selling coaching is like the really only way you can make somewhat of a living on it for the most part. But people try, obviously. I mean,
so Matt Frazier, HWPO, was his training program that he developed after he retired from CrossFit, and he has he's a multi-millionaire from that. And then Tia Claire Toomey, they have her husband, who is her coach, has Proven. And then Proven, same thing. It's like a subscription model, right? It's cookie cutter. They don't have to be individualized except for their their individual athletes that are in the camp.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think the one thing that CrossFit does, I guess, that like kind of takes care of the athletes is if they win, they get like a $350,000 check.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's really good.
That's a lot of money
for a weekend of work,
Yeah, that's true.
Even I mean, a whole year of like training and shit, like 350 grand.
Yeah,
I'll
I mean
take
that's
Take
yeah.
that.
But that goes to one person.
So the top male and top female, and then after that, I mean, I think they still make a 6-figure check.
Sure.
Number 2, number 3 makes money. I mean, they make money all the way down.
Yeah,
At the CrossFit
Right.
Games, it's just I think the lowest, like even strongman does that, right? Everybody gets paid, but like the lowest tier maybe be like $1,000 for world's
I
strongest
honestly
man.
don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know about what they make anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
But, well, that strongman's a little different though, because over in Europe it's so big that they have like TV shows and stuff. That a lot of those guys, like when Nick went over to Africa, like that's their job, and that's all they do is train, and they make money, and they have good sponsors. So I think strongman is the one, for some reason, always seems to be, if you had the ability to, I think you can probably get close to making a decent living.
Yeah.
You know, on top of having to do coaching and stuff, but that one's always just kind of been an anomaly. I don't know why.
What's that dude?
But mainly in
Eddie-
Europe.
Is it Eddie Hall?
Yep.
Is he the one that's in Scott or Ireland? Or where?
He's over in Europe somewhere. Yeah.
He's stupid rich.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys are Hapthor, all those guys.
What the hell? Where?
Yeah,
I'm always confused where the hell
strongman's
his
just
money comes from.
massive in the UK. Like they have a lot of shows. A lot of the shows are on TV, and they actually draw crowds. I don't know what about it is.
yeah.
Over in Europe, it's a thing. So like Giants Live is like the big one, and they go all around the world. So that's like where Nick went and pulled trucks in South Africa.
Yeah.
That's a whole TV production.
Wow.
And I can't remember. I thought he might have got some money for like covering stay and maybe some per diem or something like that.
Yeah,
so like
I think
they
so.
treat the athletes really well.
Sweet.
I mean, again,
Yeah.
you have to be the top of the top.
Yeah,
But
that's
there's
cool.
definitely money in the sport, more so than anything in powerlifting or probably bodybuilding or anything.
Bodybuilding, I think this year the Olympia was the biggest ever because I think they're competing with the Arnold Classic.
Sure.
So I think
It's driving up that.
yeah,
like
I think
they're
it
kind
was
of 1A, 1B.
was the winner made like 650,000 or
About right,
750,000.
Yeah.
And then it went down like second place made
But that's
350.
just,
Wow.
that's just men's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
That's open
Biggest
bodybuilding.
Open men's
Yeah.
bodybuilding.
That's cool though. They're taking.
Yeah.
They're making strides.
Because then like that.
Yeah, they
Chris-
are making strides.
that
Yeah.
Chris Bumstead or whatever, so he does physique.
He does
physique, I think?
classic.
Yeah.
Like I think he got like $300,000.
Yeah.
Which
He
again,
doesn't even-
to him that's
So
But
they-
I mean, it's still a lot
yeah.
of money though for athletes if you're looking at it.
I think he loses money every year that he competes.
Yep.
Probably.
Now.
Yeah.
Because he's got 20 million followers.
Right.
Yeah.
And they whatever, and then he's part
All
owner
his
of
businesses,
Gym
it pulls
Shark,
him away from all his
Raw.
It's good
businesses,
marketing
but-
for him.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
I mean,
to be that guy. Let me ask you guys the same question that you asked me. Being outsiders of CrossFit, what do you guys think the drug status is?
I mean, I don't want to come at it too crazy, but I personally think in anything that there's competition, there's drug use, whether it's caught or not caught. And I think more and more we're starting to see that, whether it's in the Olympics, anything, there's a competition, everyone's going to try and find an edge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I just kind of assume that. I know a lot of people don't want to believe that, and they'll be like, no one in professional sports does this, blah, blah, blah.
I'm like, you
I
never
don't-
cheated at school at a
Yeah,
test?
it's no different.
Are you
right?
fucking retarded?
Even
Yeah.
if you're
I
like a
mean-
spelling bee and took an Adderall, like that,
Yeah,
like
exactly,
It's a PED,
yeah.
it's a performance enhancing drug. It doesn't have to just be this umbrella term of steroid.
Right.
There's
right.
so many different things. I mean, even taking an Adderall to compete in
Yeah.
something physical, like the focus you get is technically a performance enhancing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I just always assumed. I just don't know what it was used or what even the drug testing protocol was.
Yeah.
If it was just like a don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that I know about, or we both know about,
Sure.
that you can take that you won't get caught.
Right. There's coaches who know how to beat the WADA test, and they work with
Yeah,
Olympians and stuff. So like so for me, like I guess I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't there be? Because I just assume in every, like I said,
Taking
everywhere there's a
data.
competition,
Yeah.
there's going to be someone who either knows how to beat the system or is trying to beat the system. So
I mean, I'm a nothing, but I think it's fun, you know, to take stuff and do whatever. But I mean, there's stuff that the DADA, right? Like you just your endurance is through the roof. You never tire,
Yeah.
and you're gonna pass every single test that they give you.
and
What
if you're
is that?
competing at the highest level, I think it'd be silly not to take something.
Yeah, it's just basically just buffers lactic. It helps you buffer lactic acid and pyruvate and all that kind of stuff. And then you just like, let's say you do whatever, you're burnt out, you hit failure on the bike or I don't know, whatever you guys do.
Yeah.
you just step back, you put your hands on your thighs a little bit, take a couple deep breaths, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go again.
It clears lactic acid.
That's so good.
Wow.
And then you find the only thing is you got to find your threshold of it, right?
Yep.
So I know for me, if I take it, I have to take like 400 milligrams to do it. And I know other people that take it, they only have to do like 100.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just the way everybody's different, right? Yeah. So you'll do it. You could do a 10 by 10 squat.
Yeah.
You know, and be like, okay.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good.
But like the thing with that too, like, so that's not on a drug test. So that was apparently from what you read
Is
about.
it an amino acid or?
It's it's an amino acid.
Okay.
Or no, I actually don't know.
I don't
understand it actually how they would label it.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know. But okay,
For what it does.
Yeah.
So even something like that, or as simple as carnitine. Carnitine's becoming super popular.
Yeah.
They can't or don't, I don't know exactly, drug test for that. So then as an athlete, are you a bad person for taking that?
Morally held?
Is it just because it's an injectable that
Well,
becomes
so
bad?
that's-
If it was a pill, is that just like, oh, it's just my multivitamin?
That's kind of my whole gripe with the whole performance enhancing thing, because to be honest, like the question I asked you guys earlier, what do you see any bottlenecks with supplements, right? Like some supplements can be an absolute game changer for a person
100%.
dependent on their biology.
Right.
Their
Yes.
physiology. So
Yes. Yeah.
So like for me, something that I've been taking is riboflavin, only like 100 milligrams or something like that. But like glucose dispensing agent, basically, right? Like it helps with your ability to actually process glucose. So like I notice I eat more carbs, I'm not getting fatter, you know, that type of thing. And so I even told Heather that. I'm like, and like maca root. I've been taking maca root.
Oh, I love maca root. I love it.
But for me, what's really important with maca root is that like I don't feel hungry. When I take maca root, I'm hungry. Right. So more food and this glucose disposal agent, right? I'm just like cycling. Yeah, I'm able to like recover and feel good. So it's like, yeah, so what constitutes like performance enhancing? Like, are we like, you know, even something as simple as L-carnitine injections or glutathione injections too, your body's ability, like your liver's ability to detox through whatever.
Well, even carnitine taking orally, there's a lot of side effects that come with that it actually could not be very good for you. The way your body breaks it down, it's not proficient at breaking it down. So a lot of people get upset stomachs, they get more inflammation, all these things. But if you take an injectable, it's supposed to, like, it's great. So it's like, well, how does that all work, right? It's safer to take it as an injectable, but since it's an injectable, it's like, whoa.
So
that's why that the whole like drug thing now has become so weird. I don't even know.
I don't know either. I think that I think people just have a misunderstanding of like what that's. I remember I got into a argument with like an ex of mine's dad about, he was like, something about steroids came up, and I was like, well, everybody in the NFL is on steroids. He's like, no, they couldn't be. I was like, why? They have millions of dollars on the line. Why do you think that they would not be taking steroids? And he's like, well, because they get drug tested, and why would they risk it all? I'm like, I'm gonna risk it all for $50 million a year. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to risk it all.
Yeah.
You know,
and organizations are going to help you to make sure that their investment isn't going to be getting.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to a D3 school, and I know guys that were doing stuff for football, and they weren't even getting scholarships. So now you're telling me you're playing for millions of dollars, or guys who are just trying to make the league minimum aren't going to do something? I think you'd be silly not to.
Yeah.
Well, in high school, I knew a bunch of dudes running pro hormones.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you used to be able to just get all that stuff at GNC.
I mean, that's where, I got it.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't understand it. Like, I just took them.
Yep.
And then I got like super strong, and I was like, "What the fuck? This is awesome!"
Right.
And then they took them off the shelves.
Sure.
And then I was like, we were all like trying to. We're like, "Hey, do you got any left? Do you got any left?" So we're like, we're just drug-seeking behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all we were. And from something that I bought at GNC to now, I'm like, "Hey, man, I'll pay you double for what?" I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean. I'm more of like, those are my morals. Those are your morals. That's fine. Like, I'm not going to judge you. Just don't judge me. And if you do, I really don't care anyways. But, like, I love cheating the system. And I love, like, I love like being better, you know, and like how cool is it to just take something and be better? Like semaglutide, everybody's going crazy because they have their stance on it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to not be fat and do whatever and you want to take it, we'll take it.
It was a bodybuilding drug for years. Like people have been taking that shit for years.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's been around forever. It's a diabetic drug, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to take it, take it. If you don't. I mean, who cares?
Yeah, I think the moral argument's a really funny one because there's people that like drink alcohol all the time or like, you know, do whatever, pharmaceutical drugs. And then like the minute you mention something about steroids, which actually improve your physiology in a lot of cases, they're like, that's really bad.
You're going to die.
Yeah,
you're going to die.
And it's like, meanwhile, your nose is purple and you're bloated everywhere because you can't stop drinking alcohol.
You're dying.
You're literally dying. You're in liver failure, you know, like,
Don't drink out of plastic bottles, but smoke cigarettes. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's funny.
God, I think that's funny. Like, I mean, I eat out of plastic. I drink out of plastic. I mean, they're going to, if anybody saw my lifestyle, they'd be like, you're going to fucking die. And I'm like, I'm going to die. And so are you.
So I'm enjoying it while I'm here.
So are you. Like, let's just feel good together.
Yeah.
Like, let's be fine with each other and feel good together. And that's it.
And it's just different strokes too. Like I don't know why people have like this moral like they just think that they're better.
The elitist thing, kinda.
Like me and Heather, we do our best to not do plastic stuff, but like we're gonna drink from a plastic water bottle. It's the only thing that's around.
Yeah, I'm fucking thirsty.
Yeah, exactly. And who gives a shit at the end of the day too? Like I don't care what anybody else does with their body or like even like if you want to chop off your dick, I don't give a shit. Like chop off your dick. You know, it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I think it's weird when people try to like sit on a throne about the steroids.
People are so quick to like what you said. Sit on the throne with it.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, do you guys think that sports like powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, all these like should they let steroids be a thing?
I mean, I think that it's good. Like at least in powerlifting, there's tested and untested. It's two very separate things.
Yeah.
It's almost two separate sports.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's I mean, people are going to do it. So just, I mean, in my opinion, if you're going to do the tested and you decide to do drugs, I kind of just think you're a piece of shit because there is a whole other world of people that are doing this.
Yeah, they're like we made a world for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, yeah, right.
So like in
this is awesome.
So like in that case, if someone wants to cheat the system, I'm a little bit more like, hey, like there is a clear divide.
Yeah.
Pick a side. So like I'm personally a fan of that. I think it's a great way to do it. And if you want to do tests and get tested and you get popped, then I think that's a whole other conversation. But I think having that clear divide is like, I mean, they're trying to do that. They're having the enhanced games.
Yeah, that's what
they're testing that out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a cool idea. I mean,
great idea. Yeah.
I'll probably watch it. I find it interesting. I think it's just at the end of the day, like people want to see the best of the best. So regardless, I mean, of what they're doing.
I mean, what revived baseball?
Steroids.
Right, steroids. Yeah.
Steroids.
Yeah. Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco. Like, I'm not a sports guy. Like, those are the only names I know of. Because of steroids. And it was cool to watch.
The fact that you know who those guys are and what they did, and you're not a sports guy at all.
I know nothing about, like, I don't watch shit. And I know it was crazy. I'm like, I would tune in just to see what was going on. Not because, like I thought the marketing of it was pretty cool too, but I was like, holy shit. Because I'm more of like the look, like of how big they were.
Yeah.
They look like action figures. And I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want my forearms to look
I mean,
like.
that's why people like the NFL, right? Here's these elite athletes, like, and then they're like the quickest, fastest, strongest guys.
Oh my God.
Aggressive, all this stuff. So like now if you create an Olympic Games that has, I mean, these people who again are those people, but now they're a little bit more open about what they're doing, how they train, their nutrition, supplementation. Like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think so I'm pretty sure with that league, they actually have like medical advisors in the league too, right? So do you think that powerlifting, CrossFit, and like all these like so there's the untested feds and powerlifting and bodybuilding, do you think that they should be responsible for that type of stuff too, like having medical advisors that people can go to help with the drug use?
I mean, yes, but it'll never happen.
Yeah,
like there's such niche things that it would be impossible.
I mean,
like
they have
even
telehealth.
But like even at the highest level
like
of like,
so like should the IFBB govern like your medical
I
status?
see what you're
Like, should
saying.
it-
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's like, I think it would be a great idea. I just don't know if it's actually like possible. Because like even on the tested side, like the IPF Worlds is like the highest tested competition you can do. It's a world level thing. It's the equivalent essentially of like the Olympics for powerlifting, right? But like, I mean, it's hard for them even to like, they can't even pay the athletes to go to these countries to compete. So it's like, if they can't even do the simplest thing of like help the athletes go to these contests, like I don't think they'd be able to, you know, and those are the tested. So now in the untested, there's really no one organization that's like, this is the one.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if it just like financially could ever work. I think it'd be a great idea. I just don't know if it could work in such like a niche sport though.
What do you think that like powerlifting is missing in terms of? So you know how CrossFit? It's like I really just despise the CrossFit thing like for this reason, but like CrossFit's like a whole brand. You know, like the reason why Greg was such a smart dude is because he just literally stamped a word over exercise that constitutes anything. If you tell a CrossFitter like, yeah, I powerlift, I do bench, deadlift, squat, and then sometimes I do Stairmaster for cardio, they're like, oh, you're doing CrossFit.
Right.
No, dude, no, I'm not. You know, like, but they'll tell you that. They think everything constitutes as CrossFit. I've had this argument way too many times. Where was I going with that?
Like, what is powerlifting missing? Or
what is powerlifting missing in terms of like being able to grow the sport to a point where maybe they could afford to do things like that?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's. I mean, I don't really know enough about what goes behind the scenes of everything of like an administration of like or who owns a federation and like USAPL or something. Like I don't really know what goes, like how much money do they want to make, what is, you know, whatever. Right. So I really don't know those things. But I would say personally, this is just me, I like that it's kind of a niche thing, an underground thing, and not a lot of people do it. I like that.
Agree. I
so to not grow it is kind of like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you don't care. Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same way. I think maybe that's just because everything I've learned from Kirk, but like at the same time, like I like that underground grunge, dirty, smelly,
very
fat,
dirty.
Tattoos. Like I don't know, something about that to me is like when I see that, I'm like, all right, this is like where I want to be.
Yeah.
The first meet I competed in, that's what it was. I'm like, this is what I love.
Sure.
So now anywhere I go that it's not like that, I'm like, I mean, I still love competing and training and all that stuff, but like it's kind of missing that. I like that underground, like kind of outcast feel to it.
Yeah, I like that too.
And I think that's maybe the biggest problem is that there's a split, right? Is there's people who are like that old school, like this is
don't want to grow it,
stay out of it, keep the pretty boys out of it, stay off the Instagram. And then there's that other side of people who want to grow it and then also in turn kind of monetize it, which is also great.
Yeah.
But there's too much of a divide between the two, so I don't think it would ever. That's the hardest part, I think.
I think the rough part is like powerlifting isn't like a trademarked, governed, like sanctioned body.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
so like CrossFit is
hundreds
CrossFit.
of
So you know what you're getting, right? But like, yeah, with power, but that's also CrossFit's big issue is that there's no governing body for competitions. There's no way to like work yourself up. Where like the IPF or USAPL or whatever. Wait, they're actually the same, aren't they?
No. So now they all split too. So it's a whole other.
So there's like 100 federations.
So even more,
which
is why it's the Wild West.
Well, but it's also good that like there are different feds because like at least you know where you stand in ranking.
Yeah, you can kind of shop around and be like, I like doing this with this equipment, with these people, with these standards. So you can be like, so I go here, and other people can be like, well, I like doing this, and this, so I go here. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we can bicker and argue about it, but it's just at the end of the day, it's lifting weights, so who cares?
Yeah, I think because CrossFit's like that same way, but what they do really well is they market, you know, at least, and they've done a good job at like seeing the masses.
Right.
But I think there's something to that too, like I don't know, the lore of like powerlifting where like they don't want people in there and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I like that personally, but I would like to see people be able to get paid more regularly for any sport.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For any
like,
sport, yeah.
Like even when you talk to the normal, like a regular person on the street about powerlifting, they're like, oh, so you snatch or whatever. Like nobody knows anything about what Olympic weightlifting is or powerlifting.
Right.
Because there's like, in my opinion, not enough dollars to actually do the marketing, get it out there. 100%. And powerlifting, again, is not its own governing body. Yeah. It's the IPF, USAPL, whatever. You guys could educate me on that, but
yeah, that's true.
Maybe one day we'll solve that problem.
Man, I love though, like going to an untested meet and just smelling, where as soon as you walk in, you just smell that place, and you're like,
all the knee sleeves. So
it's more than that. It's like the trend just dripping off these
guys who are too fat to wipe their own ass.
Yeah, too fat to wipe your own ass, and boils everywhere of zits, and I'm just like, man, this is home.
Hell yeah.
You know, this feels good. But at the same time, man, no one wants to see that except us.
Right,
like me and Dom want to see it. That's about it. Like the whole convention center smells.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I like that.
A 12,000 square foot place has 30 people competing, and they fucking they ruin the place. It's in the carpeting, you know. But that's what I like. That I think it's great, and I don't care if there's a guy that squats 200 pounds or a guy that, or whoever, guy, girl, whatever, squats 1,000 pounds. I just love that.
Yeah.
I think it's so much fun.
Yeah.
I think
that type of powerlifting, I think, is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When everybody's very like rigid and like, you know, I don't know, like, how do I say it? Like there's so many rules you got to follow.
Like the clipboard.
There's no swearing. There's no nothing. I'm like, that's still like, I still think that's awesome because that's for somebody else.
Yeah,
and I think that's great that they're going to be passionate about it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I just personally like the grunge, like the shit, you know?
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I think that was a good first episode.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, it was good.
Anything else you guys want to say? Oh, quick. Blessings in a Backpack, December 7th. Or no, what's it called? Pulling for a Purpose, December 7th.
Yep.
There's a deadlift meet here. Winners Are Sports Performance in Pewaukee. It's a charity for
Blessings in a Backpack.
Yeah.
And the Waukesha County Christmas Clearing Council. So we do a toy drive, which is the Christmas Clearing Council. All the toys get distributed locally here. There's a set location that they set them all up, and on a Saturday, people apply for help who can't really afford Christmas for their kids. They're able to go there and do some shopping. So I believe all the toys are free for them, and they get a certain amount of toys they can get, big, small, anything. So, I mean, we always have a huge toy bin. I mean, it's massive.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's filled overflowing. I mean, hundreds of toys we're able to collect.
You guys know how much I love Christmas.
And then also we do Blessings in a Backpack, which helps that's more of a monetary donation that we do. And that also stays within the area, and that helps for kids who need help affording lunches and meals when they're in school. So
after school
and
after
before
school.
and after,
yeah,
school.
before
So
and after
sure
school.
that, families who need a little extra help, that the kids are at least getting fed 5 days a week when they're in school throughout the school year.
Awesome, cool.
And it all stays in the surrounding area, so it's all very local to where we're at. So that's why we chose those, because it's staying here, which is what we like.
All right, well, cool. With that, we'll see you guys in the next one. Like, subscribe. Talk to you later.
Thank
you.